I don't like to call people overrated, but this might be the most overrated player in the MLB. And today, I'm going to go over the most overrated player at every position. Starting off at first base, we got Luke Voigt, and he's not necessarily a bad player, but I think what we saw in 2020, we can't expect that for his entire career, as he's just a slightly above league average hitter. In 2022, he had an OPS plus of 105, 710 OPS, and on base of 308, and he's probably going to hit about 20 home runs a season. He's a solid bat to have in your lineup, but he's not as good as he was in 2020. Moving on to second base, this might be a controversial one here, but we got Ozzie Albies. Now, 2021, at first glance, it looks like he's had a really good season, but then when you look at the stats a little bit closer, you'll notice the last 3 seasons combined, he was just a little above league average hitting wise with a 102 OPS plus, and when you have as many at-bats as him, you're gonna get a lot of hits. Moving on to shortstop, I was gonna go with Jeremy Pena, who did win a Gold Glove in 2022 and was great in the playoffs, but he's just about a league average hitter with a 101 OPS plus and a 289 on base and a 715 OPS, but I gotta go with Javier Baez. Now, I don't think a lot of people think he's that great anymore. In 2022, he had a 238 batting average, a 278 on base, and a 671 OPS, giving him a 93 OPS plus. So far in 2023, he's a negative 16 OPS plus, which is just absolutely awful, and he has a slugging of 111 and an OPS of 291. Contract's worth $140 million. He's definitely not living up to it so far. Moving on to third base, we got Max Muncy, who's a bit of a streaky hitter, but he's pretty good at getting on base, and in 2022, in 464 at-bats, he had a batting average below 200 at 196, a 713 OPS, and an OPS plus of 97, making him a below league average hitter. Moving on to catcher, I was gonna go with Mike Zunino, but he's having a great season so far in 2023, so I'm gonna go up to Jose Trevino. Now, he's a great defensive catcher as he won a Gold Glove in 2022, but offensively, he's not great. In 2022, he had a career high season offensively, and he was still well below league average with an OPS plus of 91, 248 batting average, 283 on base, and 671 OPS, which isn't very good for the best offensive season in your entire career. Moving on to the outfield, this isn't very controversial, but we got Cody Bellinger. I think most of us are pretty aware that Bellinger has been pretty bad the last few years, except the Cubs, who gave him $17.5 million for this season. The last 3 seasons combined, he had a 194 batting average and a 257 on base with a 610 OPS and a 64 OPS plus, which is just some awful numbers. The only thing he's still pretty good at is defense. Other than that, so far he's just not living up to the $17.5 million. Moving on to the next outfield spot, we got Alex Verdugo. Now, to be fair, he's a fine outfielder. He's just a tiny bit overrated. The positives, he hits a lot of doubles, he's good at getting on base, but all those doubles probably just come with a high number of at-bats. But the negatives are, he's not great defensively, he's about a league average hitter with a 102 OPS plus. And the last outfield spot, we got Harrison Bader, who hasn't got a ton of at-bats his entire career, had some injury problems, won a Gold Glove in 2021, and he's pretty good at stealing bases, but at 2022 is just not a very good year for him. In 292 at-bats, he had a slash line of 250, 294, and 356, with a 650 OPS and 87 OPS plus. He's technically been below league average his entire career, with a career OPS plus of 97. Moving on to DH, we got Jesus Aguilar, who's also kind of a streaky hitter. In 2022, he had a slash line of 235, 281, and 379, with a 661 OPS and OPS plus of 81. He's probably not someone you want to have out in your lineup every day, but for the Oakland Athletics, it'll do. Moving on to starting pitching, we're gonna have to go with Noah Syndergaard, who showed a lot of potential in his first couple seasons and then had some injury problems, and in 2022 he was just kind of mid. In 134.2 innings, he had a FIP of 3.83, 1.255 whip, strikeouts were down significantly with a 6.3 strikeouts per 9, and ERA just hovering below 4 at 3.94. 2023 is not off to a great start either. Moving on to closing pitcher, this is a bit more of a difficult position to rank since closing pitchers don't get a whole lot of credit a lot of the time, but we got Kendall Graveman. 2022, at first you might see his stats, you might think, oh, that was a pretty solid year, 3.18 ERA in 65 innings, but he had a whip of 1.4. He had a great season in 2021, but so far in 2023, he's having a pretty rough start with a whip of 1.714 and an ERA of 5.79. Subscribe.